Hello, everybody. Welcome to the sixth episode of What's in Your Earbuds. I'm here with my co-host, Joe Hardin, who's on the top left of the small corners. And we got an incredible episode for you today that's been honestly almost a month in the making, thanks to a conversation that I had with Jason Hanley, who's also going to introduce himself, owner of Wild Sense Goods. Uh, and we're really excited to have this conversation. We have some amazing stories for you here today, and we have some amazing music to talk about, and really excited about it. But before we dive into this, I want to take a moment to thank everybody for listening to the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. We have 7 amazing shows. We have a fireside chat coming up for you tomorrow night with Pat Spencer. So be sure to tune into that. We have on the 19th, Joe, you have a Beyond the Finish Line episode coming up with Simon Hollis.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
excited to have him back again. Hopefully this time no internet problems. So I'm excited to
yeah,
chat with him.
yeah, it's crazy how many conversations we have across the pond. Every once in a while, you're going to have the internet problems, but thankfully, we've got everybody here today and in good internet shape. And I'm excited to dive into this conversation. So the way this is going to go is I'm moderating, and we are going to hear some great stories tonight. And we encourage everybody who's on our platforms, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, we can see your comments. So go ahead and leave them, and we can get them to our guests, and they'd be happy to answer your questions after the conversation as well. Just so you know, this is being recorded on Monday live right now, and it's going to go on podcast on Friday. So without further ado, let's dig right into it. We got our co-host Joe Hardin on the top left. On the top right, we have Kenneth Anderlitch, who just told his story on our website, and he's with this crew. On the bottom left, we have Dianethe Skurko, who told her story, who's on our fireside chat actually last year and has told her story in a two-part on our website, which I will put the links up to. And then on the bottom right, we have, as I said earlier, Jason Hanley from Wild Sense Goods, who also told his incredible story of business, entrepreneurship, and endurance sports. Grateful and happy for everything on our website. So now I'm going to start this conversation off by opening the floor to all of you, starting with you, Joe. The first question I have for all of you is going to be about just talking a little bit about your sobriety journey. So let's start with you, Joe.
Okay. Well, I'm Joe, obviously sober. I'll be 5 years December 1st, 2019. That was the last day that I picked up a drink or put any pharmaceutical in my body. And I'm very proud of that. I spent most of my life abusing drugs and alcohol, and that kind of came to a head on that day, now almost 5 years ago, where I found myself in pretty bad physical shape, mental shape, and I knew that if I kept going the way that I was certainly not long for the world. And I got sober in the height of COVID, which is really difficult. And about a year into my sobriety journey, I found running, and the rest is kind of history. Um, and yeah, I'm just proud to be a part of this group. It gets me so excited to be in like another group of like sober people, because kind of like what said when we were talking a little bit ago, it's nice to know that you're not alone in this struggle, um, and to have other people that you can relate to, even though like maybe our stories don't follow the same path. It's really exciting, and it means a lot to me that other people will share their journeys with us. And I'm just proud to be a part of this panel. That's just a little bit about my sobriety journey, and I'll pass the mic.
All right. I'm going to turn it over to Kenneth now to talk a little bit about your journey. For those of you who don't know, Kenneth's journey was just published on our website last week as well. And I'll post the link for that as well. But I'm going to turn it over to you, Kenneth, and also would love for you to have your crew give a brief introduction of themselves as well.
Yeah, why don't y'all give an introduction of yourselves and say
All right, I can go first. I am
Ken's crewmate, Steve Carter. I just celebrated 5 years sobriety on the 7th of September.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
man, this mission is very special to me, and I'm glad to be here supporting Ken through this journey.
Hey, my name is Roel Gonzalez. I'm the other crewmate for Ken. Um, I don't even, I lost count after 10 years, but I haven't touched cocaine for longer than 10 years. So,
Nice.
And I'm Ken, and my sobriety date is December 4th of 2015. Um, and the funny thing about when I first started into this, I didn't think I'd make it this far, but kind of figured right before that. The only thing that drove me into wanting to get sober was to just get out of the cold because I got sober in December. Um, and so I found the nearest homeless shelter rehab that can take me in without any insurance or anything like that. And I realized how tired I was. And through that, all through the experience of being homeless and going through prison and going through jail and all those other places, um, that, I was so used to being in a place where you would never find any love or any sort of place where you can call it home until I actually got to that homeless shelter where there was actually individuals who started loving themselves with days and weeks of sobriety, and I thought, man, that's what I wanted. And then lo and behold, I found other places that most people would probably look at, like, a homeless shelter or a sober home or a halfway house or whatever, and be like, I have no idea how you would ever find love in a place like that. But it's that attitude of gratitude wherever you go, with that perception of wanting to find a better life for yourself. It's not so much as a place as who you become that you get to that place, and then it's that perception that you take on. And so I guess that's what brought me here today in this RV, right? Because obviously I'm in a place where I want to experience the love from this trip. I want to experience the camaraderie from this. I want to be able to experience sort of what the adventure takes me, and that's it. And so there's no other better place to be than with these two guys, um, sharing some miles and trying to get back home from here.
All
Yeah.
right. I'm going to turn it over to you now, Dianethe.
Excellent. Hi. So sober is not even a word I use. So I'll be honest about that. I don't use that word. Um, I had a decade-long heroin and coke addiction, and I think my sober date. I think it's my. I'll just say my sober date's in November of '93, and my sobriety lasted. Um, so I've not done heroin and I've not done coke and not done meth since then. I guess you could say I'm sober from those drugs. I do occasionally drink wine. I started drinking wine in like 2003, wine tasting kind of stuff. I'm not a big drinker because I run too much, and alcohol doesn't suit that need. Um, I did not do the traditional go into rehab when I quit doing drugs that I should have, because I did not have tools that I now, as an adult, because I was in my 20s when I quit, I now understand there were tools that I did need to learn. But I have learned them now, and I have been in therapy since I was 25 or 26, which is also when I started running. So quitting drugs, therapy, and running were pretty much all in the same month in 1993. So I could go on and on, but I won't because I know we have limited time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate with the limited time. Like what everyone has said so far, you just really can't. It just does not do their stories justice. There's just so much to dig into with everyone's histories and stories, and um, yeah, I'm glad we have the stories on our website for everyone to look up after this because there's just so much to dive into. including your fireside chat, is a good place to start. So, Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
So my sobriety date is August 6th, 2018. And I had to look that up. I don't look at that every day. To me, it's just, this is another chapter in my life. But on that day, I woke up and didn't know where I was at again. Things had steadily gotten worse and worse with my alcohol use. And I was at a point, I had already been to AA over the course of a few years trying to figure it out and just couldn't quite get things dialed in. And I would always go back to drinking. And on that day, though, I woke up and I realized the only thing for me from there was I was either going to die or I was going to end up in jail. I didn't know what was happening. Every day I was drinking, and it had to end. And I was really fortunate that I had already found running, and that has been something that is central to me and kind of my purpose and my drive and my passion, right? So that was already in my life, and if I didn't have that, I don't know if I would have made it much further in that sobriety journey. But that's the day I decided I didn't want to go back to that, and I've kind of just moved forward every day since then. Here I am 6+ years later. So that's kind of the short of it.
Well, I appreciate everybody for being open and vulnerable with their stories and introducing themselves. Like I said, so much to dive into. I'm glad we have everyone's stories on our platform, which I will happily reshare because I know that there is somebody out there who's looking at those stories and those blueprints and finding somebody that they can align their own journeys with. So now I want to dive into the topic of every episode of this podcast, which is music. So I asked everybody to bring up music that. So the way I describe sobriety music is either music that is actual music about sobriety, either music that maybe music that was critical during your sober journey, maybe music that has helped you overcome something. It has a different meaning to all of us, and I really appreciate everybody taking the time to pick a song. Before I start with Joe and ask him what his song is, I am the moderator, but I will quickly say that I am 3 years on my sobriety journey, and if I had to choose one song, it would be "Go the Distance" from Hercules. Um, that's my sobriety journey aligns with my ultra running journey, and ever since my first 50K, I have been listening to that song. So "Go the Distance" has many meanings for me, and I'm hoping to get songs here that have different meanings to all of you. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over to Joe and ask you, what is your song?
Yeah. Can I start by saying something? I'm honored to be. I mean, what are we talking here? We've got 50 or so years of combined sobriety. I mean, if not more. So
More.
I'm just honored. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So there's a ton of sobriety in this, and it really gives me hope. And I hope that maybe others will see this. And when they start adding up, there's well over 50 years of sobriety here. That brings me joy. I just want to start by saying that. And my sobriety song, what's weird because I listened to it when I would be drinking, and then it hit even different when I was sober. Was "No Words" by Cody Jinks. I listened to it for different reasons. I used to listen to it because I was drunk and sad, and then I listened to it when I was, going through early withdrawals and kind of the pain of early sobriety, and it meant something different then, and now it's even 5 years. It means something completely different. It's it kind of reminds me what I went through and kind of how much I've emotionally and spiritually matured since sobriety. So that's "No Words" by Cody Jinks. It's a beautiful song. I went through a country western phase. I still love that stuff to this day. So it's a really, really good one to to listen to, and kind of a good reminder of the struggles and how I'm moving forward. And so yeah, that's my song.
Kenneth, I'm gonna turn it over to you and your crew.
Okay. You want to go first?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. For me, it's "Dear Alcohol" by Dax, and hopefully, I get some head nods that people have heard that one. But man, the first time I ever heard it, like, it brought tears to my eyes, and I was just like, it really resonated with me. So I would say that's definitely my sobriety song.
All right, turn it over to you, Kenneth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to look up the last song that I've been listening to, but if we're going off the concept of what sobriety before, I'm just like, thinking of the first thing that comes to my mind before I got sober was listening to Nine Inch Nails' "Hurt," and even to this day, I still listen to that. I think it's because I continuously always put myself in a position to find myself in these painful positions, and it's just I think there's a lot of triumph and experiences and lessons to be learned when you put yourself through some sort of pain and you're able to get through it and then move on through it. So yeah.
I like to call that elective suffering. But just like the way Joe was saying, my song is "Cocaine Country Dancing" by Paul Cathin or something like that. It's got a pretty up tempo beat, so if you're a fast runner, it'll get your heart moving. And I kind of had a different sense of jamming out to it back then versus jamming out to it now. And that's in what's in my earbuds.
I'm gonna nice touch with the "What's in my earbuds." I love it.
Yeah.
And and by the way, these will all go on the Everyday Athlete podcast playlist as well. And Jason and I, which we could talk about more at the end, have talked about starting up a sobriety playlist as well. So, Dianethe, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. So I chose my song is from the band X, and it's Los Angeles is the name of the song. And I chose this because my drug addiction was all based in Los Angeles, and my career sort of led me to drugs. It was something I just could not get away from. And I had this whole group of friends who were all damaged in the same way I was and doing drugs with me. And we were all very tight. And, everyone's overdosing and some people are dying. And it was just getting really crazy. And so that song, although X was a band we were listening to during our, drug years, when I listen to it now, it still makes me really, I get really pumped because if you listen to the song, it's, she had to leave Los Angeles and, she found it hard to say goodbye to her own best friend. And when I hear it now, I think of my own best friend who overdosed on heroin 10 years ago. And what a bummer that is that she never came out of that, and that I did leave Los Angeles and I got away from all of that and literally started running, within 21 days. Didn't know what I was doing, but found myself running on a trail. So I can say in that year, which would have been 93, had I had earbuds, that would have been the song I was listening to. Yeah, but it's in my earbuds now.
Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Dianethe, I'm really sorry about your friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So whenever I was kind of thinking of these songs and everything, I typically lean toward a lot of like punk rock and things like that. But oddly enough, the songs that came to me in my journey kind of shortly after getting sober, and the songs that really motivated me both when I would run and when I was thinking about that journey and how I was moving forward, was Florence and the Machine. Florence Welch is sober herself, and the song "Shake It Out" is the one that really lyrically, like, I kind of focused on, that always caught me with one of the lines is "It's always darkest before the dawn." Translates into both of these subjects. They say art imitates life, right? Like, in some senses, like, that line both came from life as well as running at the same time. If you're big into ultra distance stuff, that's the hardest time in a race often. And it's hard to dance with the devil on your back was like quite a literal line as well, that you really have to be there to understand. So the song goes on from there, and just the whole thing from beginning to end really motivated me and made me think deeply about what was going on and what I was doing. So yeah, that's it for me.
I appreciate everybody for sharing their music, which will all go on the podcast playlist. And also just appreciate everybody for their vulnerability in having this conversation. It really does mean a lot to me. And like Joe mentioned earlier, I'm also honored to be a part of this group and a part of this conversation. So the next thing I want to do is I want to give Kenneth and his crew the space to, before we dive into more music and what's in your earbuds, I want to give Kenneth and his team the space to talk about his upcoming 1,800-mile run on Friday, the day that this podcast actually launches, by coincidence, and talk about his run for Haven for Hope. Before I turn it over to him, I interviewed Kenneth a couple of weeks ago. I didn't know the guy until I started a chat. Jason connected us, and um, I just want to say I love what you do for. I just love that you do something for a cause. You pay it forward and you live by those principles with everything you do, and it's absolutely an honor to help out however we can. And I'm excited to turn this over to you now and let you talk about why you're running from DC to San Antonio.
Okay. Do you want to? So these two guys, obviously, Roel and Steve, have been part of this journey from before. We started off with, well, I know Roel and I started off with a run from Austin to Corpus, and then it transcended into Trans Texas, and now it's sort of continental, but not really, like halfway through, a little bit more than halfway, I guess. But I guess somebody brought up the idea, and I have no idea who, but somebody brought up the idea a little over a year ago. Well, why don't you run from Washington to Austin for a bill? And I don't even know what a bill is. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you what a bill is. I don't know anything about politics. And so, but I do know what, when I look at stuff, and I work in a nonprofit, just like these two guys know how the lack of services are with the VA. I know what the lack of services are in the recovery community. Really, what the population is needing. I hear it and see it on an everyday basis at my work. One of the things I noticed throughout the year or over a year ago, how so many families have suffered going through CPS cases, or going through different situations that deal with getting into rehab. I've seen single fathers who have their kids by their side admitting that they cannot stop and I need a safe place to get sober. I just don't trust my kid with anybody but me, right? And of course, there's no place for that, and there's no place for single dads to find a sober living. There's no place for, there's some places for single mothers, and but I don't believe that there's even a place where a conjoined family can go for services to seek out refuge and rehab and recovery while keeping their kids to by their side. And so, at least not to my knowledge. And so I brought this idea up a little over a year ago, and of course, I asked these two guys again, like, if this goes down, are y'all willing to sign up for this? And tell you, like, the last journey really took a lot of energy from all of us, right? It's a lot to ask for, whether you're asking some retired veterans or not. It's a lot to ask from anybody if you can put your life to the side for several weeks or a couple months so that somebody can run from one point to another, in risk of that person not completing it, in risk of somebody possibly getting themselves in danger, in risk of all these situations, right? And to find that commitment, I really found, I'm really lucky to have these two guys by my side, and to be committed to a cause like this and to see something like this kind of blossom into what it is today. Of course, there's a heavy community that's behind all of this, and there's 3 nonprofits that are supporting this. That's Lifetime, Haven for Hope, and I believe Pay It Forward, and they are working all together and unifying this program to ensure that we have this in place sometime in the future for families to seek refuge, whether you're a single dad, a single mom, you're a whole family together, but to have a dorm where the kids are able, well, mom and dad or dad or mom are able to go to rehab, go to classes, go meet up with their case manager, obviously hold them accountable in some sense, right? All these things, right? But the kids are able to live their lives like nothing's really changed other than being in a dorm, right? They're able to go to school. They're able to, go outside and do their thing and still come back home to their parents. The parents are able to raise them while they learn how to get sober at the same time without taking that element away from them and expecting them to already learn that when they come back from whatever facility that they got sober from. And so I think it's something that is progressive, and it's very scary to think that sometimes at some point somebody's going to get sober and of course learn how to be a parent at that same time. Like, I'm going to relearn how to be a parent on my first day of sobriety. It's kind of a scary thought, but so is running across America as well. So I mean, like, I feel like at some point, there's a little sense of bravery that comes behind this program, no matter what the outcome is, no matter how it starts off. I find a lot of bravery and I appreciate any parent that can see themselves really changing their lives for the better, all while coming to that vulnerability of, I need help, I need to do this. I guess to say I'm not a parent myself, but I can think that on some level there's got to be some sort of humbleness to come to a program and say, I still have my kids and I need help. Please teach me how to be a better parent. Please teach me the ways on taking care of my kids, because I mean, I don't know what the next step is after that. And I'm hoping that this program will be able to accept individuals like that with no judgment, nothing but love, nothing but care, all acceptance, and just being able to take that all in for whoever it is, right? And these 2 individuals are both parents. They are both, in their own right, recovery, and of course, they're mentors to other individuals in this community as well as trying to balance out that parent athlete professional life altogether. And so I think they can understand where I come from, because though we've been together for almost 10 years, we're we're all completely different people here. You're looking at 3 different lives conjoined with the same belief system. So I that for a fact shows to me that recovery comes in different ways, but at the same time, it's a progressive movement. It's not it's not this box that we like to think is, this is what recovery should look like, this is what sobriety should look like, this is what whatever should look like. So again, like, this program definitely is for families that are seeking recovery. So
If that doesn't fire you up, then by God, because I'm a parent, and my divorce was probably over way before I went into rehab. Um, Sorry, the camera guy's a little new at this, but but somebody heard the way I really needed help, and that's hard when you're in the military and you have to carry this bravado or machismo. But I went in thinking that my family was going to be there, and when I got out, that wasn't the case. I got divorced halfway across the country, yada yada yada. But now, fast forward 14 years down the road, and now we're trying to help establish something for parents that are going through that so that they can get the help that they need.
Yeah, so I'm a father myself, and one of the main reasons that I did get sober from alcohol was for my children. My behavior around them was unacceptable, and it was time to grow up, and it was time to be present with them, and it was time to be a dad, and not numb whatever was going on in my life. So I got rid of it and move forward. And that's why this is so important. I'm by Ken's side. I told him from the beginning, I'll be there the entire time. So here we are. Let's get this thing started.
Yeah, for real. Let's get it started. So I feel like it's every day feels like forever. Like,
Oh man, I can't imagine how this. Yeah, I can't even imagine how this week is gonna feel for you, man.
yeah.
uh, well, Jason, I know you wanted to share. You had a second song that you wanted to share that you dedicated to Kenneth and his crew.
I did, man. So one thing, this little kind of story goes with this song. I met Ken. We were pacing a friend at a 200 miler together, and I met him, and we were both on that same sober journey, and we went through all that. And then a little while later, I actually went out with my wife for a weekend to San Antonio to just do some trail running. The trails out there are way cooler than they are around Houston. And I really got to spend some time with that entire community there in San Antonio, that there's a real community of both runners and sober runners at the same time, that we don't quite have it like that here. And I think it was really unique and special. And it just blends right in the whole community there within San Antonio. And it made me gravitate back to the song from the Bouncing Souls, True Believers. If you've ever listened to the song kind of from the beginning to end, that song is about this really unique, tight group of friends and how they stick by each other's side. But the song, in a way, just really resonated to me, not only with like Ken and Roel and Steve, but the entire community that was there. And anytime I hear that song, those are the guys that I'm thinking of. And I'm really, really privileged and honored to call them friends and to get to help out with this in any way I can.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. We'll see you in a few weeks, and we'll definitely jam that song.
Yeah, we will.
Heck yeah, man.
I'm downloading it right now, Jason.
Oh man, you guys, somebody's got to get a story of that on Instagram or catch a video of that, because that's going to be iconic. So again, Kenneth, your crew, I appreciate, and Jason, I appreciate you all talking about Haven for Hope, the 1,800-mile run, and your respective stories. And I might have said this a million times by the end of this conversation, but appreciate your vulnerability. Also, I love dogs. Wait, where's that? Which one is that from? Is that from yours, Kenneth?
The dog?
Yeah.
No.
Is that you? Yeah.
Mowgli in the other end of the house. Yeah.
That's
I think I've seen Kathy's
Golden
pictures of
Beetle.
Mowgli. Mowgli's adorable, man.
Yeah.
I love that name too.
We love best running buddies at Run Try Mag, so don't forget to submit a best running buddy.
Oh, I have to do that. I'll do that.
Oh, please do. All right, so now I want to shift the conversation back to what's been in your earbuds recently, because even if it's not music, it could be like a podcast, it could be like an audiobook. Like there's always like, and it might not be on the run, but there's always like some sort of like beat to our life, I feel like. Joe described it best from a song from Cat Empire. We still have no idea who submitted that song, but they say something, there's a lyric in that song that says like music is the gateway to our souls. And that line has stuck with me, and I think is a driving force behind what's in your earbuds. Also, having found out that Joe was listening to a metal song while mowing the lawn. So I mean, I guess I'll start. I'll just quickly say that recently I'm on the last couple of weeks of training for Moab. Some of the runs have been absolutely brutal. And I mean, as Kenneth and I talked about, like you could do 1,800 miles or whatever, but that doesn't mean a 5-mile run is not going to be hard, So I've been I got a audiobook on Audible, and it's Beyond Possible by Nims Purja, based on his 14 Peaks documentary. I'm a big fan of Nims and his work, especially for Nepalese mountaineers, especially because he's a mountaineering Forrest Gump who saves lives and pays it forward. And yeah, I've been listening to that audiobook on a lot of my long runs and some of my runs when I'm not spaced out and in a meditative place. But that's what's been in my earbuds recently. I'm going to turn it over to you, Joe. What's been in your earbuds?
Well, I'm almost finished with Elliot Matson's Henry Handsome Chronicle. It's fantastic. It's kind of like Coen Brothers meets Western. So it's like, and he like narrates it. He composes all the music. One of the most talented people I've met. And then I've been going back. So same thing. I'm on my training week. I'm on peak training week for my 100-miler, and I've been diving back into new metal. So like I've been listening to a little bit of like a lot of Deftones lately. Yeah, I love Deftones. Like it always has a place in my heart and playlist. And I kind of went through some like only $3 Bill Y'all by Limp Bizkit when that album came out. I was a very angry teenager, and it translates so well to a 40-something-year-old me. So a little bit of new metal's been hitting lately, and Elliot Matson's audiobooks. If you ever get a chance and you want to listen to a Coen Brothers Western thing, it's called Henry Handsome Live and Die by Elliot Matson. Great audiobook. So.
Joe, I can just picture you mowing the lawn or doing woodwork. Joe is a talented woodworker, but Joe is woodworking, by the way. I could picture him listening to $3 Bill or Counterfeit or one of those songs. Doing that. Also, quick shout out to Joe. He's doing his first 100-miler, and I think it's like in a month now, right? 3 weeks maybe.
Yeah, 27 days. Yep.
Yeah, he's doing the Indiana Trail 100.
Nice.
All right.
I'm going to turn it over to Kenneth and his team. What's been in your earbuds recently?
I go first. Yeah.
For me, in my earbuds, I'm a big fan of Beartooth, and they have a song called "In Between." And I will just, I was on a bike ride the other day, and I sat up, and we had a chase van behind us, and I was just dancing like crazy. Unfortunately, they didn't get it on video, but that's not why I did it, so that's okay. It was jamming from our motorcycle pace vehicle because I had put it on his playlist for that day, and yeah, it just it sets the tone, it puts a smile on my face, and I can really just rock out to it. As far as podcasts, big fan of Golden Hour Adventures and Robbie and Justin and what they do. I love listening to stories from all of the amazing athletes and humans that they have on their show that they interview.
Yeah, big ups to Robbie and Justin. They both told their stories on our platform. Robbie's got a hell of a story, but definitely look out for those on our platform as well. Kenneth, what's been in your earbuds recently, man?
How to fix the generator through YouTube. That's been an ongoing thing. No, Jethro Tull, Locomotive Breath. That's been really playing along. I don't know what the song is about, which is why I didn't want to put it out on the first place, because I was like, it could be about drugs. I don't know, but as far as podcasts, I think I'm a little too ADHD to listen to podcasts still. I start listening for about a good 10 minutes, and then I lose interest, and then I go back to music again. But Jethro Tull, Locomotive Breath. That's what's in my earbuds.
Mine is it's a band. It's two brothers called Hermanos Gutierrez, and it's a little low key, mellow stuff, but it's good for my morning meditation. That's what I got in my earbuds in the morning.
Dianethe, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Okay, so in my earbuds, when I'm running, I have two running playlists. One is like, so I grew up I'm a child of the 70s. I was in high school in the 80s. I'm in LA. So I have one running list that's just LA bands, LA punk bands. That is my typical go-to. And or I have a heavy metal list that is like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, AC/DC, So I have that is my kind of go-tos. Those are like my jams. And or I listen to, this is super embarrassing, and I've never admitted this to anyone. Cold cases, like true crime stuff, like Crime Junkies, the podcast, and I'm stupidly obsessed with it. Like, and I can be out running, and I'm done with my run, but there's still 25 minutes left on the podcast, so I'm like, I can do 2 more miles, and off I go. So it's actually working quite well for me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I mean, I don't think I've ever admitted this on the EAPN or anywhere otherwise, but I've listened to, gosh, what was it called? Oh, No Sleep Podcast is a good one. They're all like 1 hour fictional like horror stories, but they have like professional like voice actors and audio production, and it's like stories ranging from like disturbing to creepy to like, oh, this is entertaining. And then I'm the same way. Like, sometimes I just want to keep. I remember when I listen to it more frequently, I just want to keep walking.
Yeah.
Also, I will, before I turn over to Jason, I will say that Thunderstruck and Highway to Hell are essential songs on my playlist for
Okay.
Ultra.
Yes. So Thunderstruck is like my little Western States song. I've got it all planned out when I'm running Western States, exactly where that song's going to come on my playlist. I've got it planned. So
there's always
just got to get into Western States.
Oh my God. There's a whole conversation you can have behind, there's got to be a science behind, like, a certain song can like get your energy or your chemicals flowing or give you that rush. And I premeditate some of my songs because I know they're going to hit me in that way.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it over to Jason now. What's been in your earbuds?
First off, there is a highway in the middle of the desert in Moab that will be perfect for Highway to Hell.
Yep.
That was when we played when my wife was running it. Like, it hit me. I'm like, this is it. This is the place right here.
That's exactly where I'm starting it.
And I also think that podcast you were just talking about, that you vaguely, like, really kind of out there. I think maybe we talked about that at Bigfoot, but it was like the second time through the night in Klickitat that was just, everything's just a haze, man. Like, it's all, maybe it was there, maybe I'm making it up. I don't know. But anyway, so for me here of late, it's been just an album itself from Idols, their newest album, Tank, Tangk. I had to look up like what the heck that name was. But the whole album's really awesome. And Joe Talbert, the lead singer, I mean, they've got a very punk influence and like everything that they sing about. But I've realized too that his sobriety journey started not too long ago, and he had mentioned somewhere in an article I read about how that has influenced like the way he writes things and the things he says. And once you realize that, even within what he had said in this, you can kind of hear when it's a song that he wrote post sobriety and when it's not. And that's been kind of cool. So I've been enjoying that album a lot. Yeah. And as far as podcasts, I can always go back to Happy Endings, our buddies over there at Happy Endings. And I'll just say it as simply as they do, from the Wild Sense side of my business, is Happy Endings. We don't sponsor them.
Yeah, shout out to Andrew Marvin, who's listening right now to this conversation.
Andrew!
Ken and I wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for that guy having the stupid idea of doing Coca-Cola. So,
yeah. Oh, man. It all starts with a stupid idea. And also to preface your point, to emphasize your point about Klickitat, I don't know which one it was because it was the same time for each one, but I think both of our conversations were haze, especially on that Rich line.
I can't believe this conversation made it far enough into like fruition and existence, right? Like, we didn't forget about this. I guess it wasn't a horrible idea.
No, it wasn't. So I just want to take the time to thank everybody again for joining us for this conversation. And before we close things out, I'd like to turn it over to everyone for a few last words. Joe?
Yeah, I guess I just want to thank everybody again. I'm really jazzed and humbled with all the sobriety here, and thank you. There's a lot of stuff I never heard of before, and I'm always like, one thing that really stokes me stokes my fire is new music, new genres of music. So thanks for bringing your stories to the table, being vulnerable, being open, and bringing your songs too. So thank you so much, everybody.
Well, I thought it was you.
Oh, okay, I'll go first. Yes. Follow along on Ken's Run on Run Ken Run, Instagram and Facebook, and of course the internet runkenrun.com. I'll be the guy with the ice cold Mountain Dew in my hand as I crew this dude for 1,800 miles. Let's go.
Heck yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
I just wanted to say how humble is because I know these last couple of months have been some trials for him with these 200 milers, and he's got one coming up in less than 3 weeks or in less than a month or
Yeah,
so.
3
And
weeks
so
Friday, man.
it's going to be exciting to know that I'm not the only one that's going to be in the pain cave. And of course, it's cool to, and of course, good luck to Joe as well on his first 100-miler. You're also going to be in the pain cave. Remember, you signed up for it. You paid for it, buddy.
Yeah.
So have fun out there, and I'll be looking forward to seeing Jason. Of course, it's always nice seeing Dianethe too. So thank you so much.
My thing is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you go together.
Yes, I was waiting for somebody to pull that line out. That's one of my all-time. It's a cliche, but it's one of my favorites. Yep, you're up, Dianethe.
Oh yeah, great. So I just want to say, it was really great meeting all of you, and I'm excited for all of your new sobriety journeys, because 5 years is still new, right? That stuff feels new, I think. But yeah, excited for all of you, and Ken, excited to follow your run. And I don't know exactly where you're going, but I wish I could meet you somewhere, because that'd be fun to run with you. But yeah, thank you for putting this together, and it's been fun.
Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I mean, simply thank you to everybody for being here and telling a piece of your story. I really believe that, what Ken is doing is really important. So if anybody's interested in learning more about that, and, maybe putting, some donations out there that could help the organization and what they're working to achieve, that would be awesome. And then on the other side of that, what it always kind of comes back to me is, if there's people listening out there right now that feel like they need to find a way to get sober, and they haven't been able to do that, and they don't know where to start. One of the most important things to me was knowing someone that I resonated with, that I was able to reach out to, and they were able to help me find my way. They didn't become my sponsor and weren't side by side with me, but they really helped me. And if there's anybody out there that feels like they need some help with this, I think any one of us here would be more than happy to try to help you. Ken's timeline is till the 20th, and he's going to take a break, so you might want to talk to him.
Yeah.
Then, but for the 20th, he's a little busy. But otherwise, no, I'm joking about that. But realistically, I think I can speak for everyone here that if you're trying to find that help, reach out to any of us, and we will be happy to help you, find your way and direction into making that journey. It's not easy, but it is probably the most worthwhile thing I've ever done in my entire life, hands down. So, yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us for this conversation. And again, and I will say this for the last time, for just your vulnerability and telling your stories, and for sharing what's in your earbuds as well. We have a lot of songs to throw on the Everyday Athlete playlist, and excited to share with all of you. Be sure to check out runkenrun.org, and check out and be sure to follow Starting Friday, Kenneth's run from DC to San Antonio, 1,800 miles. We're excited to all follow along on the journey, and I'm manifesting now. I don't think this is the last sobriety roundtable that we're going to have. There's going to be more of this, and there's too much to talk about, and just really was an honor being a part of this conversation. So thank you so much, everybody, and hope you guys have a great rest of we're in different time zones here. I'm trying to figure out, but I would say afternoon to evening.
So it's almost 8 o'clock here.
The sun is set.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great conversation. Bye.